Rivers sole administrator appoints SSG and head of service. How much power does he really have? You are tuned to CNOC channel. Kindly subscribe, like, comment and share our videos. Also put on your notification button to get our updates. Tuesday, March 25, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas appointed the Secretary to State Government of Rivers State and also announced the resignation of the head of service, Dr. George Weke, and equally announced the interim replacement, Dr. Iyinge Brown, as the new head of service. The question boggling the minds of many in Rivers and beyond is how much power does the sole administrator of Rivers State have within these 6 months in making these critical appointments. With these appointments elapse after 6 months since they were made by the sole administrator and not the elected governor? Or is this an inclination that the sole administratorship may exceed the 6 months, and that is why he is making appointments that are tenured? Or why, as a sole administrator, why can't he just administer the state without making this critical appointment? This report x-rays the actions of the governor. On Tuesday, March 18, President Bola Tinubu took many Nigerians by surprise when he announced a state of emergency in Rivers State, suspending the elected governor, Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Ngozi Odu, and the entire State House of Assembly. Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, retired, was then appointed as the sole administrator of Rivers State. The decision was justified on the grounds of maintaining law and order amid escalating political tensions and security concerns in the oil-rich state. The move, however, sparked intense debates about its legality. Constitutionally, emergency rule is permitted under Section 305 of the Nigerian Constitution under certain conditions, but the extent of executive power granted to an appointed administrator remains a gray area, fueling concerns over democratic governance in the state. As Vice Admiral Ibas, retired, settles into his new position, questions are emerging about what he can and cannot do as Rivers sole administrator, particularly following his appointment of Professor Ibibia Worika as the new secretary to the state government, SSG, on Tuesday, March 25. His appointment, according to the administrator's statement, was based on his distinguished career spanning academia, international legal practice, and high-level policy advisory roles. The statement further emphasized the need to harness the great human capital of Rivers people to achieve the much needed peace, stability, and security. But the political climate in Rivers is far from stable, as the appointment came shortly after the resignation of the head of the Rivers State Civil Service, Dr. George Wike. While the administration accepted Wike's resignation with sadness, the big question remains: how much power does the sole administrator have in making appointments such as that of the SSG? Under the emergency rule, Vice Admiral Ibas, retired, is tasked with managing the state's affairs, but with key limitations. Firstly, there is no legislative power. Unlike an elected governor who works with the state assembly to pass laws, the Solad, as they are called, cannot make new laws. Instead, it can only formulate regulations subject to the approval of the Federal Executive Council and the President. The President confirmed this in his speech the day he administered the oath on Admiral Ibas. So, does he have the power to appoint an executive team? Well, despite his restricted legislative power, he has been granted the authority to form a cabinet. And of course, a cabinet consists of commissioners and other key officials to help him run the state. So that means the appointment of the SSG falls within that administrative remit. Also, what are his financial powers? The administrator, as the chief accounting officer of the state, has full control over paying salaries, awarding contracts, executing projects, and ensuring that complete governance continues during the emergency rule. And of course, security and stability. That is the focal point of his appointment. He is to restore stability to the state. So security management and preventing further political upheaval is top-notch in his agenda. While he has considerable administrative power, the inability to legislate independently is a constraint. And that one, makes him different from an elected governor. Now, what is next for Rivers State? Since the president made that declaration, there have been calls both from opposition and groups within Rivers for the state of emergency, which is expected to last for 6 months, to be lifted. But with the sole administrator actively making key appointments and shaping governance in Rivers State, the coming months will determine whether his leadership can effectively bring stability or if it will lead to prolonged political tension. So how much power? That's the recurring question. And we have seen from the report that he has quite some power. The power to appoint an executive team, which he is now utilizing with the appointment of Professor Worika and Yingi Brown as SSG and head of service respectively. And I want to believe that more appointments are in the offing. He has financial control. As the chief accounting officer, he will authorize the release of funds to pay salaries, execute projects, and ensure smooth governance. he has power to regulate security in Rivers State. And I must admit that he's coming in as, shaped the security architecture of Rivers State. There is a kind of calmness in the state, a state that was at the brink of the precipice with the chants of war song. But today, the case is different. The Solad, has a lot to do to bring Rivers State, up to speed. And it is believed that these 6 months will be, a time for him to put all he has learned, during his service here in the Navy to task. So, will you agree that the Solad of Rivers State has powers? And are the powers much? Or you think these powers